Freedom of the press, and I say freedom of the media, fundamental rights. I say diama media, both print, ne your friend is saying, one nam if you dear so to say ye be na say nancy, and I say honma name say kasa no na baby ako kwana sa tretre no na baby ako kwa ya na edensemaba ne pese hwese wo hwe ye man yimu a freedom of speech, and I say the media freedom no absolute, and I say bibi kakra bata ho ye kwakwa drinkwato ye ba na ye de dwumede atoa so mmrado se say medin de ekua asanteba mensa ye nkombra then ewo UTV so na wo hwe ne so ya ba maso so aye de adesua te se na de bia ye de bremo no ye de sign ababe hye so is the freedom of speech and interdependency of the media an absolute right. You say freedom of speech say lawyer ne ye kasa obeboa ne twi kasa no na eno na ene ye ba besua ade afa ho me ne lawyer Oxford or say Bonsu, private legal practitioner ta eba me fidi so pa ono na ene wasan betsoa ye ne no eba besua de lawyer kwaba yeah lawyer say we go straight ye can say freedom of the media to what extent is that freedom, and also what does it even mean in general?
Me that's na the kind of mechia ahwefo nyina na yama obia aha. What say freedom of speech and also freedom of the media? Wouldn't say media there a kwanya and also kwanya enya yetimi echre ya adwene e kansem efam na manfo omoti benchi omoti kwa tintin so omoso betimate de yeka ti se no pay na wiye ya yedi nkomoi media environment no woti ukromu kra akrasa abete yanka na fa hudi on se kasa no wa hwa na obi akasa wa kasa wo wafa wo kasa bo ahye wo enti se wa we so sika asem no ntimi ende enka and first of all media na nkasa omunya freedom onya so munya hu kwanya se fa hu di omo se omutimi kan de ese omo ka bia na obi ansi omo kwan no starting from the fundamental human rights to before that no I friend of freedom of media no grano na freedom of speech for everybody. First of all, that is the first thing you have to know. Where article 21 or say there should be a freedom of speech. Inti optimika was MBS or Kabia. Now here Sebronibeka said the intent of the framers of the constitution. I do not know mukra a mamu SSS Amra, no man who's a Yankopon boy, yes, no. Senka or G Isika Casa Ebeka or the Mita Bon Anna, or G Isika Kate Pincha. And now here they were Yankopon. Any impono ye hunu ye awon kita hodi no baby abedu bi abeso no Yankopon kasa bi otimi ne kasa disadwene no ano mukura anom se asanse we nipa ana ade eda nipa ene moa enso no de man sonso ede nipa ene moa ntam no se omo no mutimi nka bibi a ehia omo ye ka de ehia ye enti ade no Yankopon ama ye sa ade a son bo na son kono. So that is the principle. The principle is that the unique thing about human being and many dance no any a casabo and don't mean cancer. And don't mean cancer so they are. Then I bet mama tretrimu nama kama sama mobile TV and a media abba. That almost at the rule no mobile. And you mubumwa no casa na man for a TV. And a gramophone so by na ye radio Kwame Nkrumah radio na nanam ho na nanam no kakra motom do meka cho Kwame Nkrumah radio na dey si ho na kasa dey FM enti the same principle as obi to be asem enti na freedom of media dey
yeah share the establishment of the media we share article 162 omo ka bibi omo say there shall be no impediment to the establishment of private press or media and in particular there shall be no law requiring any person to obtain a license as a prerequisite to the establishment or operation of a newspaper, journal or other media or mass communication or information. Say me share we na say me de toto my adwene me nti ase ho a it means say ye media na ye wo man ho no hia hwe e na sebe wo de asate semiti me fie metumi abon enkonwa na ma frefre na mfo sa mombre ya asem bia ba yetumi kire ya adwen bia e wo nia bibia ye fidi say ye pese ye ka ho asem yetumi e ka ho asem
sana emra no neti emra no sesai enti emra no wo he de we emra no sitie no a live in the real time no enti ne obo ha na say amanfo say or media is a CBD or kitchen, a video basement, and a video bedroom. That is the essence of it. Say, be at me media. But you can't open that to home. What's that's the law. The Lord says that we need licenses, but the structure, infrastructure wise, no. Any beer we hear permit and licenses for instance, if you
which is a physical premise.
Yes. Okay. And I will call NCA.
Because na ma be say I'm time be a tree we say bi mu license be wu so
the services and then the networking and I will pay for now o kasa no a and the podcast unya microphone kitwa ba come say 500 na dey above boa
e be crazy
what just say and then kwasa sem na manfo na radio so amona mabonti ebusa o share no ebusa dey be na we ya wanu ho now here and no more can say more
talking about that what the podcaster bim say ebia ye mra no time na ye hye me say be first na ye say be your GTV your graphic times anyway mu na ho enne like you are saying, you know, I don't need a physical structure to be able to your friends say churn out any media communications via me pay any mass communication. I don't need that. Me to me have my phone here, me call online Facebook, me we are these things saying they are regulated by our government and also by any institutions. It is for no what happens? How do they come under this law?
See the position of the law. Emrano say we hear impediment bia we hear akwansin bia na say bibia no edu kwansi si wo kwan emma wutimi eka wasem asem bia wo bosu bia and it's for a purpose, a good purpose. For instance, we hear podcasts and I say social media and I say TikTok abano. We hear more designing TikTok for instance China and I say I want to say omono ade omo de hwe and I say ade omo permit the TikTok no features no money show technology STEM and human quantity but also here Hano so one can say why intentional about it now one choose what kind of things you want to see do be who be and somewhere in fact some who can have it emra or no for infringement and I say injury of certain pronouncement and I say media no more by against a person and remember anyano and I say enchino.
So we share freedom and independence of the media law na ye call your friend saying article 162 na ye share clause 3 Omar Trebibi said there shall be no impediment to the establishment of private press or media, and in particular there shall be no law requiring any person to obtain a license as a prerequisite to the establishment or operation of a newspaper, journal or other media for mass communication or information. Na me ka say me hwe sa close ya na ma adwene mu ne menti ase no ya akoye no say me te hey me fa me phone na metumi akponkonwa na ma frefre me nanfofo na je say ya boom na asem bia ye pese ye ka no na ya ka na ye de ato abonten keke na me pese meti ase say em say na wo try say there are laws that govern the establishment network any the physical premise need na when I say me here physical e bia me wo ka bia you to meet name na ye boy me say na say me so be kwa ye ka radio show na sa na manema no. How then do all these people come under the law and I say how do we capture them ewo ye mano ase?
It's a regulation there, anchor here. But I did about to say the position of the law. I only had to say first and foremost I say enipa etimi ka omobo asem anase nipa timi kasa omu hia bibia e best of proof omom kasa na medi kan say ohwe a enipa ene moa de maye danso e kasa etimi kasa kire enua na meso me kan bibia menimu a obetibi na enkoda no wunhia say obaji permit ana abaji bibia na wodi akasa but bia person mass media and as well structured media there ubako NCA for her no more licenses for the services they will render for you in that extent and tell na ubako acquire ho aduma but one kasa we say o person o kana we beat this is a cry podcast aba and I say omo bibi me call live
Facebook live Instagram live yes
o konwa kakasa obeso kabia obia nsi ho kwan na ebra obenya asem ya bra wo asem a wo ka no etimi koka obi anase tia obi enti ye mayehu se yesi wo freedom no baby I start no e ho no obi so de enso kosi ha enti freedom of speech anase bibia ye ka ho asem no eno no nye wo nko na wo but bear in mind is to say about article 15 so can about dignity enipa no ni hu anase nenimu nyam
because nan kan be ba wo say say wo hwe senior law yi akane ya wo kon so kind provisions ne kwa say na say on a lot of freedom and say right to press and say media both print in here and the question I want to find out na say is the right absolute say ye wo media no won betumi aka ensem bia because sometimes me cry no MB wa metifi na metin ensem bia ye kan media no so ya na se be ya asefem kakra emra no ma ho kwan say wo mu ye media no won beka ne a wo mu pe bia is it absolute
yeah emra bia no way absolute enti se dey kan checho mu ebre bi wo ha no emra na nkasa no wo ma wo general rule no the emra kan na afi or the exceptions are the account but we specifically no nkasa wo ma sa freedom no oba article 146 o ma yeti assess any limitation o say the right to freedom no and as a freedom of speech a right a fundamental article 121 my use a fundamental human right and the ade ma wo yenipa eno no you the right na ma yenipa ti ni sa right ni na de yenipa ha and what see what the limitation atoso na obaha oma no ma best 3 ema e show say wontimi nka okasa no de wa besi ukano no number 3 nti wontimi nka de wa besi uka 17 so de sitie e bi say wo hwemu asanke ete hey ye studio baako won say ba ha benyo video no besi o kan de bo so asemo no waka na wo kan wa hwa host cry but no carry also the laws also permit that law not just say in that sense don't control anybody a brainy panic kasa and even at a extent say is it the constitution is the supreme law and out of the constitution what can say media si hano monye ebia regulations and as act ebeboa I detail no man esamoye and the law permits for the media commission national media commission na how no kind constitutional kind that act now act 4497 men control bia so kasa say in the new operations as a media mass media no all disseminate or share information no uni hu kwan so control bia na question na waka no obaha was no ma me say was limitation in the interest of the state and to say this provision of article 162 and 163 of this constitution are subject to laws that are reasonably required in the interest of the national security enti your other act and I say wo mrabin rules bia eno so hwe say yemfa ye ho nkoto esan as a nation and you some now person come out to and information I was when you know I say una wanu so into the amount can in and Debbie as a dream the national security enti metie another sister station now o ka say we be tuga say eye Ghana ha no baby I two gadam say no ye nyankofo bi wo ho a omo de o tutua for abetena ho omo kuta tuo ni sekai wo so o kan ye no ye frɛ no enti brabeboa asero kan first of all kwa no ebia na wonim tinanka first person to talk to ebianka national security nurse on obokasa but also hu atete galam say no man hu say na o
na ehu video na ye yem hye
enti no kan enti bibia that is the limitation and the second one was a public order say any public order ne say it Ghana babia order ni ya eboko 77 enti se okoho na se we twe ha woda wona mani nyi wona so ye mpikura woda mani nyi so what I say na no ye pusiga mpimpo no omoko ne ho enti the bottom line is say wo ye nyina ye sumbadwe ye enti na misi na wonso wasi ehia enti that is where a situation freedom of the media no ebepem say ye be kasa na say be disseminate information never ma ye abadia emra ne ma ho kwan say yes and the third one about form po be mechechin and the third one was a public morality enti on say yempo culture na ka say tete ye no eno mo bi na say na mo de mo fosema ba motimi ka bia no fam ho adi nsem bi wa na yenka part of the body mpokra no a ye modi so what I say enti esan say ye do ba yesi ye quarter no si atete ye no eno so wo ho a eboa ema so media no ntimi ensori preko pe enhye saade no ye nim say brebi bonze best 12 ekono 1 no na ho na modi programs bi ye de hye eno kire say mu respect say eye Ghana senior normal city program ko share 11 and 12 no ko ba bia bi ombe yi na wia ntini nyina aka and I so say for other purpose of protecting reputation and I make an animonium na ade ba ko pa animonium no say wunya no one day ade a enipa no building upon for very long time entino untimi fa ma yefom ana Ghana ha no eye the way I see hu no ene wa hwekra no ma utimi didi the respect amount for edema no ene ma onya aduma ye ene ma onya baabi da ene onya baabi di in fact akunya kra be transfer sorry the respect edema no e be ma watuma tena baabi wa sorry nti enya de a wo bia wo de be rough ana no koda nche no mpo no esanse ayade a utimi you gained over time but there are some people by how you war monompokra no nyankopon ahira omo nti omo wo sa nyimonyam no dada ewo odada nti di kwa se ye ma wo kwan se kasa bi no wo kasa saa no e de aba fom nti ye ko emfinfin abati ase hu se animonyam no o kasa wo be kan fetra nipa no ho ebetimi atwe the way nipa si hu no aba fom. Now I'm telling you, I have experience. A show. In experience, minim nipa bear 4. Na ba ko yo ba, ana ba ko ye bema. Bema wo ye na dumo. Ana ono oba no ekoye contract, ana se contract. Ana anko yi. Ana meme so ne bema na ye adwuma pent minim the sense of how that bema na ye adwuma. But it could not be that bad. Just say enye boni mu a say obetimi ase no to another third person na in a different conversation ana any contract ano obi eka say e recommending the project ye ba be die ye mfra asumasi na pani ba ko so da bi o say asumasi die se du banye I was so shocked me man fa bi anto so na manyi bi amfru if it's a minim. But I was shocked, say, and I knew where it came from because now we no contract and who say ni power in the war. Other issue. Designer say all the two trim. Say it is a cobase. Wo can some no need so no one can ye. Men fan ko tete freedom of media and I say implement fan freedom of speech.
Na anka ba be ka say no akwa to say wo hwe ye media space na I saturated kakra.
Yeah.
Enti akwa to say obia epe aye competition no anu aye hye enti obia epe why na be breaking news ne first why na be breaking news ne first and aye town say no obe wana media house de bia na wabeka no ma be rejoinder no ma beka say oh ma be ma apology no ma beka no ma be say say no wo hwe ye system yi mu a rules ben yenim say maka emra no guarantee or almost an absolute right there but one more freedom be brave. At what points do we draw the line and say these are the guidelines I think say media and kamu ya and answer kamotia simbia and also verification process be o hanke also mu femu and san e bi kran kamo de asem no ababe to abonten.
Okay. And correct. So there was a kind of John that no apology and the constitution catered for and then even the national
because
media.
I mean no maybe asem na o kind and then I'm share TV but time now baba rejoin that no na my share TV and now one more share TV and now o ka asem one more anti then what happens?
You see and the craziest part of it and I say the man asem no ya rehom pokra kesepa when it borders on national security. What do you say if I hold there? Now, who took our America crab about na seven? But a fat national security information people can use it for other purposes. I bet me as I be doing. I'm telling you, the information be brave or what a brand new to a ban. Say, ne could think of being some more manos or sooner or more cockaya and Abia. That is some expertise to do. First of all, Emrano, you always talk about what the law says, but I no kodan channel. Anthony already so education. You be education amount for what the essay or more ye. Any kwanya or manyano. Then I be free my day, Abba. To send the can you say amount for social media, so I'm more call life for more can say more no more. Every crime, maybe to me, uncle. Every mrebia ntino mrebia anya ohwe but fa ne say normal wo den adi social media no o chena bi wunyini wie na say wo kopa adwuma ya say no ne de betwa wo ana say ebetumaka ene one thing I have to put it on notice wa han say visa amokwa gidi bebre no omo say social media no mo de dwuma visa o Obama visa obeko social media so obeko YouTube or Facebook no akọ TikTok no akọ hew ansa no ma visa nti wa akọ no anya visa wo so na na bi na ofie na wa ma anya visa but wa usuban ne on ya
na wo ye wo social media
nti yenim ensusanso no ana maka ne say our customary law common law nso wo remedies and as a ways you can go under so be crowd when him to for more defamation I can answer and also crowd because I constitution can ha say a limitation and you know on the basis of say obi crowd fee say what can say mama you didn't know to for no obetimi do akọ court and also obetimi do akọ national media commission ho no mo so no wide nti yem percent ka obeka asem na wie na me ma be counter and abeka asem na wie no obe patcho so do sikan no yesi ba bia no na koduru no ontimi nsan ko aha nti ayade ha ehu ye wo ho kwan se kasa na ye ko en kane no na enipa no so na kane no so na media no so ni ho nti asem no e ka no kokoro mu na se enipa kakra bi ni aka ba se wo kan asem ba ko a na ko ba bi se eti he wo nam no be for a man se lawyer na ko na unim so what say nti enu na ama say, of course, it's not absolute in the sense that even the way it looks like now, no, the law, you can do something about it, but it's when we have to amend the constitution. Until we can also look at the dispensation.
Social media, was to say, do we have any acts and answer regulations which will be a parliament, you can say, a govern social media space, no?
And American says a Cyber Security Act. Ukomwa echire normal ese wo ye no ho ene normal ni kwan se wo ye ni nyina enti ho no eno na wo ho a se nkanye sa de anka wo ho na manfo de numbers abia beto ho na ebia obi bullying obi kra tiatan ho no obi hwehwura ho ana obi de wo ho ebia sebe wadeja akoto ho ni nyina de act no na regulate ha na asem maaya ebia office emra na yede no Ghana ade ba kwa se no so se ye kase emra ye hye de number 1
you will be brave
emra bebre wa emra lawyer for ko
implementation and
enforcement no so wonti education kakra na ye no ebe mo hu se asem we kura to a o call lawyer ha lawyer betuma bo na emra de bibia
hold it for me emra no se sen e wo UTV so and na ogusu a wo hwe na ye nkomo no enyina efa freedom and the the independence of the media ehun community enkoje nkrato ye ba na ya to aso Mr. saying with UTV so and na ogusu a wo hwe na che say e freedom of the media na freedom of the press ehun komo and na ye twetwe lawyer Oxford Osebunsu say what can your constitution no eka on the rights of the media any your friend is saying the structures are govern the media space ne kakra yen hwe obi beka say adena ukọ aman ana ukọ nkronkro bi so a omo ahyehye mebra say ukọ China kra some of the apps na yen use you can't even use them there man nankasa ahyehye bibi a control this space no o can em say o ka say ukọ China TikTok na eniema na no STEM programs na eniema na ehu ba ye hai de MC ye ja tum keke obi beka say nka me ebo madwemu a denti na yen safeguard the future no because sebe me pese me ka emma na emma agudie ene ma na agudie kwa yes e criminal na so uko media space na they are free to do whatever omope wo honom emma sebe nkwara na omohwe no ene say yes pitch bipolar speech bills some ebi o akramo I saw some other blogger be no account say no say call grants so no ma na say emmu ano mo ho no che say bebre na we exhibiting signs of that Mijine chametime aka say ebia enye the exposure na to say social media no even though as say mra no shedan into mu de but ukọ social media na they are free to see whatever they want to see, they are free to do whatever they want to do. Sa exposure no shouldn't the abino and as a government no emfa enema bi minim say cyber security law no ho emfa ne ba bi sure na say enema bi wa yanka say ye frim na ma ye media space no sanity kakra bi aba ho na aboya adwen ne ho so ban because ade no ye hwe a ye hu de bia no say na corrupt the brain. So can't we do anything like that? And I say mano ma ye ho kwan say aban no and our government bet me edi bibi sa to kwan.
We can do that. Mano bet mama kwan na make can say those kind no. It's all about enforcement. Say wo hye bibi say ade na enye. You see emran kasa no. De ye ne say e de botabi to so say ade anka ya control a obeya bro so Edward to a SEN no stop you until it prohibits you from doing certain things. So the whole canon. She say or social media no so and a bit time and a service. So who no more some cotton or grounds were Kakrabia when
hey Ghana.
You see on the other side and it's so nice they can all come together. And one beautiful. I mean, there's a creativity, innovation around it. But and our canon, penny use any fear dream. And just a bell. Your mail money regulated the law non what are the spaces are. And I say, quite along with my titan. I'm on my because future no new and when no more from home. Omo baby na baby na so scary say and now they can make money on their own. That's the one problem. You say I dey back bet my who transfer my me school fees amount and now transfer papa be master or ni sika she butum or transfer all the baba na farm me meet your man so what you say a problem. And I all cannot say even what we see on our social media. Your National Communication Authority, or Munina Creso, your data, your free big data, and one day a form. Now, Uhe, China, or Canam, every algorithm. And no more as she said, yeah, Hano, we na me person me who. What I say, that is the beauty of the internet, and I say social media. Now, oh, and come out be do because of phone, it's phone to tea as some so. And to say, be out in commerce and me call baby, na me here wig we, me here make up you. Over social media, and I make card no one at to mouth. And it just say, we are intentional about life now. And the why man, no moon tears. Oh, and your mom from so because me. Maybe I will spend 50 minutes maybe on TikTok, but no man me who know. Who call Harvard crank I want to me in ya. Because that is how I want to my social media to react to me in this sanity. But mono so there never more money aje. Omo level no omo jani here no be saying no more who so. Na say impo drugs impo another thing through the social media no more ye. Nehu yeah, go secondary school. Idea who broswa and say why are gang ipa say bia wakonu we vatron chankra. We need mudin come much drugs are hodra. Cocktails. Yeah, cocktails. No much na anka sebi kaneno. What is obi konu wi ananka bia wo maame kura ni sika na wo homete. Eska for mano no munum wi sese. Drugs no more because they can afford that high, you know. Social media, any side no money, a problem. And hano, emrano, I say making sure say we are making sure that we are implementing the laws and enforcing the laws. Empono omuko hui. Omuko dija sebe meti se bia jerry for ko because omu dija taxes one. And to be almost you make money for the state and the same way you regulate what they do. Because mikophobia so almost ko turn normal or na eboa. And I'm going to say now no we are not ready to do people's job for them. Entrepreneurship. But just that what are you using as your content or your basis for the entrepreneurship? But beyond so fast money. Into no more to no more more aduane amko ton entade a ebi omko kanta nka ombeto no oni ohuso nto bia yi de first selection or the aba no so ombeto edi de obodi fa ha intimi modin no these are only the few things omobeye o ha entino ye wetimi de bibia ka ho a ebebo omo they have the ability to trade, to do business, to be entrepreneurs.
Let's look at the other side. China for some yeniaji abino ashishemu omo de friends algorithms nema SEN programs who say AI attack say who China kwa who akola odi 5 years kwa obetimi ashishe phone nema. When we hear these things we are happy. But share the other side. It's some sort of limitation bia as a date so. Sa limitations and as infringement and as make us prohibitions bia say stress na we say won't that also hinder our access to information?
And I make us say you see information no any say communication let me put it and say communication say wo kasa na me ate de wo kano e mate ase ni bia ma react to the work no
yeah
and your friends say you din komo the information I can I can momo ye mass media no I just say kasa na ye nkana nipa dodo no anye de ente na kasa ni kwa say nipa nete no we ye de na akoka ma ne kote ye oh that's a mission wo de na no ye tikromu ha na asabi ba ya ye say plain bia besia na wo hear the way is the be 2 months e di hu akoni aba you move video amanfo afi who dey akoti akoda so but look at the quality time you go through all these things politics wo ana mambu nso ho na mpuntu nso ho enti no ye de hia kase se kwan be so na ebetima bo mampuntu aye de akoso organa eno na ye adwene ho kan enti information there say the papa mu na ye dey ye pe so the positive media you know media mo fanya ade a ede enoma papa be de ebeba de ama na koye te se de ye ho anya problem no competition ene obi media no a ono no ye no o maami obedi na tem kwa na o kan wa asema enu bo ano na se ya no mo se obi a o de o media house ne ye o bedroom ne o kitchen ntini se bitimi ma kitchen dia menyanche wo
I think say it's something I mean akasa personally bother me wo hwe your space ni sisi a platforms are sebio educative and asa wo mo ka obi be ka se nyansa sem no wo mo nya sa attraction no na so wo platforms go ha sebio ene ye di obi atem and asa ye ka ensem chese ensem hunu platforms no eno na obehu no na asa pager Obeka say, is it not media ye name say yakiya manakwa kusisa ama society na say America say are we rotten or we are about to be rotten?
Now so the osika no. Yes say aboso ba na magyae ejapai. Enti I don't know the way you study propaganda. Anya no credit do near boss sebe cry no. Ebia the essence of advert ne say obeti. Na otini bibra ebeka wakoma enti sanity enti we need conscious people a omubeboa ama de say no yetimi ayeniye enti no omomu de no eyade omote ana meka say ye kura ne sebe ye manu ayawo omo no ye ni adaje ne no omo akasa ene yetete omo ene ye wo ba ye ntete ba nya wugumu a bakane no wote compound house a wugumu a ombehwe ese compound susu ni ko a obi behe obama wo enti eye from house to the school to the social grounds and they move fast and no man kwa no ye ko ye ni mu bibia enti eye problem a ese nyina no yes kwakre benya no but the pontum line is say a normal officer item didie no and the mama for niji a normal officer enye oba ne bema enna no eno na e kano
Kenya nkofo
so enne Kenya wo de professor na ebe ka ne man say Kenya piano e beba kra beche but this is what we need hanzi say we ni mo a ne ye de call mo chen a mo beti ase they will appreciate it and they will change
nti ye hwe censorship of the media content in Ghana meguso ka say eniema ya say ye de to abonten a Mr. Sebi there's no mean to make because I'm manager or mean to make I said there's no guidelines and regulations. I'm trying to be very careful with my words, but yes, she say enema ye dey to your social media space no. Enema sebi. And then cry ba no omo na 8 to first na akra dey. Ufi school ba na you be by 6:37 no. Na nka wada. Into programs here na wo can be say bi o ha ye no 11 ne sane. That time no afi na nkra no because they say you know free SHSE. One go school na be fie be 1 month or 2 months to fie omo yede it is 11 o'clock social media nkola yin na kuta phones they are still up into ade na ye feel say nke ye di sie wo mo no wo mo ehu ni na what happens to yen share ye hanum say when we talk about the censorship of media content what are some of the things that are coming under your friend says censorship and what are some of the things that will make the media commission to say these contents we are censoring them?
You see censorship now what kind of brofo and what fun say what kind of memory can say because there's a provision here
Nichi cry the censorship
censorship they say
ye trim mana
wo limit it say umma adikono I say usi bibi ho kwan na say won pese bibi no ebe we say anti we have the provision is subject to the constitution any other law not inconsistent with the constitution there shall be no censorship in Ghana say be omo trouble for no so what
no ya chim
a
lawyer for
bro for the American says okay censorship e bia because oh mame who fie e bia o TV programs e wo so what they your programs where you can program it way say akra na be duru ho no Me phone cry, more
limitations also.
I mean, social media, I go for 15 minutes at a go. And it's all mommy WhatsApp now. Offer me WhatsApp call. That's I mean, buyer. I'll come pick it because that time limitation. Social media be on my phones be a limitation. So it allows me to work. And you can do that. But you can't say mass media, media, and the law say we cannot censor it. That is what the law says.
Okay.
And say
why?
That was the provision. That is the position. And they had a reason for it. You understand? Because I brave chamua na untimi kawadne. And I say kabima kabina wuka krenka. What does it? I did be a shemra or humbiano. The SEN na ma
shemra.
So, who be painted a boss or in a bar now in any atom. Chance and ranity. And but we've moved on. And Americans, there could be something we can do about it. And Americans say the commission is supposed to have a standard or code of ethics. And who put the standard no to say Ghana Bar Association or more standard code of ethics. I know who's your professional school. Tuning. And the way I don't know, I knew to boy AD and Sacrani Afro. Oh, that is the work of the commission. The commission is to it's standard no bet one manakosoro. But yes, say yet here I say now commission na free phone no so say and some more kano. More ka enkoye ntino munya akasa and yes I am running but the standard are there and when a breach standard no then we are brought before the commission. The commission has a committee they will settle those disagreements now so there should be a claim that will come before the commission and their act says that you have to exhaust those procedures before them then you can go to court. Into a layer of arbitration into your know. It is a way say we are protecting, limiting and regulating and managing the media space. But ultimately enter between two biso say kasa we na yesoka na we the menka but
still I maintain you because I make say senka yeah, the censorship and that's limitations need to work and that's the standards no. If it's already catered for, senka bema sa defamation, ne libel, ne sa nema we nke to no ebecha because like I was saying no, at some no ana ubu be kra wo ho. What career I come from memory? How many people will now come to here and say, oh, send us some no crying day and tessa?
Yes, dear, maybe what you say and say. When it comes to mass media, random say, would to me and see what people quite the S or one can. Learn started on the side, and as I say, who quite so can be a person can be and to say it, hey, maybe a lawyer. But the fact that me by radio should be a castle. In any way, I'm practicing journalism.
Journalism, yes.
And you cannot say, ebi a member who school now we see no GI into mama kasa that is how the law want to understand. To me kasa but you also have a way what keep it in terms of journalism, in terms of mass communication, in terms of media dissemination or information dissemination. These are the things we need to consider, and we call it code of ethics. In the affair, gentleman agreement. Any idea at all? Say, you operate within this space. In the way on no money say there. Okay. On that basis, no, and the bema obiatimede asama ko omonim say, and suma any panel do media. Radio station as a TV station we know. Any more code of ethics na more to on the boy bra. Into mon friend no one kasa. And the constitution says that without even being brought before the media commission, you have the right to rejoinder. I just say, who can make a be? Because you know freedom of speech, who can make a be? And see, or can't some now feel say found no one can hear. Also, Robert can create a womb. But sometimes no crano, maybe TV no backa or so cramenka.
And now I know yet den cry.
No cry to me yet day. Oh, when you mean baby and someone or none of the chair. But in that case, no, you can now go to the commission and then bring a claim before commission or probably action before commission. Say, Mumano enko rejoined. And I say, one man who kwano, I so apologize because it's against the code of ethics. That is one. By Hono and Tintamwa. Then you can bring the matter before court. Not court, so I deal with it. And see, that is a way not to say you are defeating what the provision in the Constitution state, but then it's a way of regulating the media space. It's allowed by the commission to do so.
And me say, your time.
And common yeden,
not time.
Yeah,
say, UTV. Na, me say, ne lawyer Oxford or Sebunsu. I think say we've talked about the freedom, the general freedom, and then the independence of the media. Mrano NCO bia kwine. Here license, special license bia na anything and sana wait to me as sorry say uye media name no me say ope say uye no properly the structures and as a fiscal premise and the obeko NC no akwa J ehun to me and as guidelines and bibia ebe to me aboa ema what they aton pepe me de lawyer my joint chene say e say abino ebemu na almost say algorithm so na and never na our kids are exposed.
I think so. Our next year, Baba become one on how to control.
And them say penalty media and say na make a competition in see as obia episode BB to it's more about the sensationalism other than your friends said the actual content. In Kenya no. In Kenya, in Kenya, no, in when the Mukai. I am running to say, UTV. So, many lawyer Oxford or Sebunsu or private legal practitioner, same as in Komoya DA, if you honor won't say, I say now pay and church will be probably to me. A friend was 0244 085316 0244 085316. That's a ne, your best saying is she be me, a de equa, a Santaba Mensa. Bye bye.